We can get going on this evening. Alan, you want, ready? Okay. Good evening. It's a little different here tonight, really. We'll go through that in a minute. So I'm Bill Hardy, moderator of Town of Holland. I open this annual town meeting for the Town of Holland open tonight. Thursday, June 25th, 2020, 6 p.m. It's actually 6:07 p.m. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town qualified to vote in elections and in town affairs to meet at Tantascwa Regional High School, 319 Brookfield Road, Sturbridge, Mass. 01566, held in the auditorium, as voted by the Board of Selectmen pursuant to its authority under Section 9 of Chapter 92 of the Acts of 2020, to commence on Thursday, the 25th of June in the year of 2020 at 6 p.m., then and there to act on the following articles. Could we rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you. Let me just go through some things here because it is going to be a little different given that we're dealing with the pandemic. So I appreciate everyone here. We are keeping our social distance. We have our masks on. Myself up here alone. I'll be speaking. I don't have mine on. As we get into different articles and if anyone needs to speak, I ask you to come down to these microphones and keep a 6-foot space between people. Do not touch the microphone. I think they're on. Why don't you turn them on? You can speak. You may have to speak close to them. After you're done speaking, and also you give your name and address. After you're done speaking, there are some wipes over there. After you're done speaking, you need to wipe off the microphone for the next person and put the wipes in this trash bag over here. Other than that, I know we have some non-voters who are dispersed around and up top, but we'll proceed. Article 1. Oh yes, with the town clerk. So tonight we're going to need to have a temporary town clerk. Since there is a quorum being present, the meeting is called to order. Since there's a vacancy in the office of town clerk, the first order of business is to elect by ballot a temporary town clerk. The temporary town clerk will be required to record all votes of the meeting. It is my understanding that Linda Blodgett, being familiar with the procedure of town meeting, having experience recording votes, has graciously offered to perform the duties of the town clerk tonight. Additionally, you should be aware that in elections, the person receiving the majority of votes of those present and voting is declared the winner. Accordingly, if there is only one person nominated tonight, only one vote will be required to elect the temporary town clerk. Please be aware that if any one person is nominated tonight, we will need to vote by ballot. Actually, what we'll do is we're going to vote that by, we're going to count, and I'll explain how that will go if we do have that situation. That will require each and every vote to write on over that. So do I have a motion? Do I have a nomination for Linda Blodgett to act as temporary town clerk for purposes of this meeting? Okay. Are there any additional nominations? Hearing none, nominations closed. Further hearing no objections, I declare that Linda Blodgett is sole nominee for the position of temporary town clerk for this meeting. Do I have a motion that the chairman of the Board of Selectmen cast one ballot for Linda Blodgett? Is there a second? Okay. I'll ask for the motion, to ask for a vote on the motion that the chairman of the Board of Selectmen cast one ballot. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Being that, do I have a, could you, are you giving you vote in favor of Lynn Blythe? You, yes, okay. Being that there was a positive vote for Linda Blodgett, I declare Linda Blodgett the temporary town clerk for tonight's annual town meeting. Linda, if you just come up here, please. And if you just say, yes, I do. I, Linda Blodgett, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and all local bylaws, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of temporary town clerk according to the law and the best of my ability. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. That's the hardest thing. All right. Article 1. By the way, does everyone have did everyone get a copy of the warrant?
Can we turn off the volume a little bit?
Turn it up?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, it's out at the out front on there's a desk out there, a table out there that has the warrant, and also it has a copy of the detailed budget.
Thank you.
If anyone else doesn't have that, it's out in the. I'm going to button this and they'll just keep it tight. Sure. Okay, how's that? Excellent. Okay. Article 1, to choose by ballot all necessary town officers to the ensuing terms. Select Board Member 1, 3-year. Select Board Member 1, 1 year. Assessor 1, 3-year. Board of Health 1, 3-year. Cemetery 1, 3-year. Cemetery 1, 3-year. Constable 1, 3-year. Library Trustee 1, 3-year. Planning Board 1, 5-year. Planning Board 1, 2-year. Powell Elementary School Committee 2, 3-year. Tantasco School Committee 1, 3-year. Town Clerk 1, 2-year. Tree Warden 1, 3-year. Or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Article 2, to hear the reports of town officers and outstanding committees, to take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Any reports? Helen?
On? Okay. So I'm the chair of the Finance Committee, Finance Board, and this year we had a pretty unusual process. Because of the economy, the shutdown of the economy, our accountant and people from the DOR and people from other cities and towns recommended that we assume that our state aid will be reduced by approximately 20%, and also that our local receipts will be reduced by approximately 20%. And part of that is based on the experience that these accountants and people from the DOR have, and part of it is based on real history, because in the 2008 financial crisis, when we had a similar kind of problem in the economy, those were the kinds of reductions we saw in state aid and local receipts. So with that in mind, we have developed our budget this year with very few increases in expense line items, with a 2% cost of living adjustment for employee compensation. And even with those savings, our budget was out of balance, and so we're using some of our free cash in the operating budget to get the budget to zero. And then we are proposing to defer many of the money articles and to transfer the remainder of the free cash to the general stabilization fund so that it will be available to us when we have a special town meeting in the fall. Are there any questions?
Do I have any other boards, committees that'd like to speak? Being none, we'll close that article. Article 3. This is where you're going to need the detailed budget. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to read the article, and then what we're going to do after motion in a second, I'm not going to read all this like we've done every year. I'm just going to read, I'm going to call off the line item, and I'm just going to go through. If there's anyone that wants to discuss anything on any item, just yell hold when I call that out. If not, we'll just keep on going. We'll vote on those that didn't get a hold, and then we'll go back and discuss those that have a hold. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to fix the salary and compensation of all employees and officers of the town, and expenses and outlays of town departments as presented on the salary and expense spreadsheet as set forth in the addendum attached hereto, as may be necessary to defray the expenses of the town for the ensuing 12-month fiscal period, effective from July 1st, 2020, as provided by Section 108 of Chapter 41 of the General Laws, as amended, and raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money, therefore, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? I have a second. Okay, what I will do, as I said, I'm just going to read the line item. If you want to discuss it, just yell a hold. Accountant, outsourced accounting services. Expense, audit, animal inspector stipend. Assessors stipend, principal assessor salary, principal assessor certification, assessor clerk wages, assessor expense, reval maintenance, Board of Health stipend, Board of Health clerk wages, Board of Health expense, landfill monitoring, lake water testing, Harrington Hospital Services, Board of Selectmen, select person stipends, town administrator salary, assistant administrator, administrative agent wages, selectman's expense, legal expense, grant writer, town hall expense, town hall maintenance, town hall computer expense, system expense, town report expense, electricity, street lighting, heating public buildings, taxes, union land, general insurance, MIA town insurance deductibles, Memorial Day expense, ambulance service, sailor of weights, emergency management, dam maintenance, code red, lake maintenance, building inspector salary, building inspector clerk wages, capital planning, MWPAT bond, landfill loan, interest, MWPAT bond, landfill, Sicko land loan, Sicko land interest, Sandy Beach Mountain loan, Sandy Beach Mountain interest, fire truck tanker loan 2016, interest fire truck tanker loan 2016, dredging study interest, cemetery commission stipend, cemetery maintenance wages, cemetery expense, community center director, facility staff wages. Oh, which one did I have a hold on?
Community center,
The director?
the whole thing.
The whole thing, all right. Hold. All four will be a hold on community center. Council of Aging expenses. Conservation Commission stipend. conservation clerk wages, conservation expense, employee benefits, Medicare town share, unemployment insurance, health insurance town share, Hamlin contributory retirement, OPEB, finance board, expense reserve fund. Fire department, fire chief salary, fire department compensation, fire department administrative wages, fire department expense, dispatch expense, highway department, surveyor salary, highway wages full-time, highway wages part-time, highway clerk wages, snow and ice wages, snow removal expense, highway fuel, highway general expense, highway road improvement, highway interdepartmental expense, library, library director salary, library wages, library expense, moderator, stipend, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, PVPC assessment, planning board stipend, planning board expense, police department, police chief salary, police clerk wages, police lake patrols, animal control officer salary, animal control officer expense, police training, police expense. On police training,
Police, Lake Patrol.
which one?
Lake Patrol.
The Lake Patrol. Lake Patrol has a hold. Okay. Police uniforms, constable stipends, 911 maintenance, recreation committee, recreation commission expense. Stabilization, general stabilization, dam repair stabilization, roadway stabilization, capital stabilization, cyclic stabilization, elementary school, Hall Elementary School expense, regional school, Tantascwa net operating assessment, Tantascwa transportation assessment, Tantascwa representative salary, tax collector salary, tax collector expense, collector bank fees, town clerk salary, assistant town clerk wages, town clerk expense, election and registration wages, election and registration expense, trails committee expense, treasurer salary, treasurer certification, assistant treasurer wages, treasurer expenses, financial advisor bond counsel, interest on temporary loans, treasurer OPEB evaluation GASP 45, treasurer bank fees, treasurer tax title expense, tax title recap, tree warden stipend, tree warden expense, veterans agent salary, veterans expenses, veterans benefits, zoning board of appeals, zoning board of appeals stipend, zoning board of appeals expenses, zoning enforcer stipend, zoning enforcer expense. What I have here for holds, just to make sure we get the right ones, I have a hold on before community centers and on the the police lake patrols. And I think that's it. Is that correct? Okay, that's correct. Okay, we are going to vote on then all those that did not have a hold. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, those passed. Okay, we're going back to the holds. Community center. We're going to discuss the community center director. Anyone want to discuss that? John, you need to get up, come up here, name, rank, and serial number, baby. And then after you're done, John, if you wipe that down, okay? Are you going to discuss each one, or are you going to just discuss in general?
It might fit all in one.
All right, go for it.
John Smith, 19 Duck Hill Road, Holland. I'm concerned about the community center.
Can you get it a little closer, please?
Okay. It hasn't been open since for 3 months. So basically, we're not getting any services from the senior center. So basically, and we don't even know when it's going to open up again, because you got the board, the selectmen involved, the board of health, you got the council of aging, you got so many different organizations that are involved with the community center. And basically, I don't see it being opened up very soon. And basically, the money that's spent there isn't going to the seniors. It's not benefiting the seniors. You know, if you're not open for 3 months right now, how much services are you getting? I only gotten 2 calls since the community center been closed. So, and I get more calls from Brimfield and Wales than I do from Holland. So I find that a little bit of a problem, and I find, you know, if the building is not open and you're not doing the activities that you say you're going to give, you know, why have, you should be giving back some money to the town because you're not providing the services rendered. I want, you know, a person is, if you provide a service, you get paid for it. But if you don't get a service, why pay for it? It's just common sense to me that if you're not getting a service, why pay for it?
Understood.
So that's my, I know, you know, everyone has a thing that they've got to be open or whatever, but nothing is being done for me. I'm not being helped. I get more help from Brimfield and Wales than I do from Holland. I get more phone calls from them. So,
Understood.
understood.
John, have you read the newsletter? Because I get a copy of the newsletter every week, and it seems like, I mean, I understand what you're saying logistically. If the building isn't open and being forced not to provide the day-to-day services that would typically provide in a normal environment, there might be some savings. But I happen to get that newsletter every week, and it seems like there's still a lot going on.
Yeah.
And,
Whoa,
you know, I mean, your point is well taken, by the way, but I'm just saying, it's not as if nothing's happening.
And a lot of it is
Community center.
all done by computer. It isn't by computer. You know what I'm saying?
Email.
It's computer generated
Yeah, emails.
events. You know, it's not a personal
Yeah,
reaction.
it's a difficult situation we're in.
I know that,
You know,
but, you know, I'm just saying that people, you know, you should have a little more action, you know.
You know, I suggest, John, if you get some ideas, share them with the person down there.
Well, a lot of times they don't want to hear from me,
Well,
you know.
Okay.
I'm a little,
all right, thank you.
okay.
Could you wipe that down, please?
I want to say that I know that they've started doing meals again.
Can you just hold that closer?
I know they've been starting doing meals again for takeout. I know how much they've been doing online bingo and games and getting together with people through Zoom, and I don't know what other social media you've been using, but I know they've been doing a lot. I mean, I've seen the stuff she's been doing.
Yeah, but that's not personal, you know, you're not.
All right, John,
John,
wait a
nobody can
minute.
get
First of all,
personal
you need to
right
be speaking
now.
into a microphone, and we have someone else right back of you.
Okay.
Could you, you can throw that away, John. Thank you.
Hi, Brenda Palmer. I'm the director at the Holland Community Center. Since the COVID-19 started, Not only have I been doing weekly bingo games, yes, if you have a problem with a computer, if you can't use computers, that is an issue that we do try to address. But as far as what we're doing at the community center, I made 60 phone calls the first week that the place was shut down. I have continually done, we have bingo. I went and got commodities from Springfield, and I donated 60 cases of chicken nuggets and cheese sticks. I am working diligently day and night. I was there until 9:30 last night. I was up at 6:30 in Springfield this morning getting some more food commodities so that we can give those out to people. I'm making sure the newsletter gets done. The Massachusetts Council on Aging has twice recommended people check out what the Holland Community Center is doing on their webpage because we are doing so well at our center. So as far as, so I would just like to address that, yes, things are different right now. If you don't have a computer, I have been to people's houses where I've given them robotic cats because I realize that they're the most isolated people, and those are the ones that we're addressing who don't have vehicles. I'm going to their houses, I'm bringing them bingo cards. I'm making sure that when they can't get to the grocery store, I bring them Coca-Cola because that's something that was important to them, and I felt as though that was important to bring to them at the time. I could go on because I am very passionate about the center, but certainly for not 1 second, should anyone think that I am not going out of my way 24 hours a day, and the rest of my staff, 24 hours a day, I have gotten the COA is now giving us a $500 transfer of funds so that we can make the cost of lunches lower so that we can get more people to come to the center for our takeout lunches. And I'm doing everything I can, including, again today, I went to the Massachusetts Council on Aging meeting where they talked about, I wrote them a question saying, our biggest things are cribbage and pitch and Texas Hold'em, all the things that are important to people that are at a 3.5-foot table. And how do we address those things moving forward to take care of our seniors? So I take care of them day and night. Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, you just, thank you. You can use.
I'm Ann Hall, and John, I think that Brenda should be reaching out to you, and so should Jen.
You need to speak closer to the microphone so we can hear.
I think that Brenda does an absolutely wonderful job, and I think that the changing times are really messed up. But I think somebody needs to reach out to John because he does a marvelous job in our community as well. Okay?
You wipe that microphone, please. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else that wants to speak? Being none? Oh, excuse me.
I'm Holland Outreach. I'm Jennifer Mott. Most of you know me. I just want to say that I can confirm that the community center is doing wonderful work. John, you know that we've spoken a few times in person and on the phone. If anybody has any concerns or anything at all, always bring it to outreach. I go in, I check my voicemails. I haven't had very many. Please bring it to outreach, bring it to the select board, and we will address your concern.
Anyone else? Being none, we'll vote on these. We're going to vote each one separately. Community Center Director, all in favor? Any opposed? Facility staff wages, all in favor? Any opposed? Community Center expenses, all in favor? Any opposed? My Senior Software, all in favor? Any opposed? It's all passed. Now the next one we have is the Police Lake Patrols. Chris? You can take your mask off if you need to, too.
I'm going. It's killing me. If I don't wait, it's killing me. All right, the Lake Patrol, I'm Chris McCoo, 13 Lake Ridge Drive. Actually, it's Christine. It looks like the Lake Patrol, Police Lake Patrol increased quite a bit. I would just like an explanation as to why. I live on the lake. I see the police force out there at least a couple of days on the weekends. A lot of the complaints I get from lake folks is the time of day that we go out. The violations are not done at 9 o'clock in the morning. I have talked to the chief about it, and they have problems with the part-timers and the regular jobs, which is really understandable.
Just come closer to the microphone.
But if we're going to be paying more, I think we should get a little more coverage for the additional salaries we're paying. I want an explanation, that's about it. Because they do a great job, too.
Did you wipe that down?
They do a good job.
Hello, Sergeant Ed Ward, Holland Police Department. The question about the increase is actually to get the Lake Patrol officers up to the same rate as the patrol officers. I'm sorry, can everybody hear me? Okay. Is to get the same rate up to the patrol officers. Currently, the Lake Patrol officers make $13 an hour, and we'd like to get them up to $18.84, which is what we pay our officers when they're on the lake, when they're on the road. As far as the times, we're still working on it. I know we've talked in the past multiple times. We're doing our best to do with what we can with the time streams, and you made the point that we have part-time officers that have other jobs and other responsibilities, and we're doing our best to work to get the times more spread out. We have both patrol officers, and we no longer have just a lake patrol anymore. We just have patrol officers. So all the officers work both the road and the lake. In fact, I have a lake patrol shift coming up Sunday myself. So, again, with the times we're trying.
You can go right over that microphone over there. If you want to just push that microphone up a little so you can hear it, just rotate it up. There you go. I know you can't touch
Can I
it.
say one thing?
Take over.
So, here's another
Just speak closer to the microphone.
Here's another issue I have. Because you know I'm a lake president, and it really bothers me when I see the violations on the lake. I can't do anything. So, if somebody is in violation of one of the lake rules, my understanding is you guys would give a warning to the person first time. What about second time?
Well, it depends on the circumstances. I mean, usually our goal is to educate people out there. If we believe that a verbal warning the first time will be sufficient and they'll correct their behavior, we won't issue a citation necessarily.
Okay, and if the second time you're doing the same stuff, do we
Well,
ticket
then
them?
it's at the officer's discretion, but that very well may happen, yes.
Okay.
And we updated our record-keeping system.
Because you do it on a computer now,
We do,
right?
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is effective, yeah.
Yep.
To me, ticketing is the way to stop the behavior. I've been here 20 years, and the same people are doing the same stuff, except a lot of new people who don't know all the rules. So my opinion is ticket. Educate once, ticket the second time. And we get the revenue.
I'll take that under advisement. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Why don't you stay here in this office just in case someone else wants to speak?
Look, can I make a couple of points? First of all, I think you're going to see better quality police work on the lake as the officers get the same credentials as a regular patrol.
I totally agree.
And number two, Chris, the last thing I want to see is a draconian, totalitarian police force ruining people's weekends by being overly aggressive in terms of enforcing the lake laws. I think, you know, I see a lot of situations where I am, where I think some violators should definitely be pulled over. But you know, you just want to strike a balance. And maybe what you're saying is the balance right now is a little too lenient. I just don't want to see the enforcement of lake laws become, like I said, draconian and make life on the lake miserable.
I think these guys are doing a great job, much better than ever before.
So I'll make a motion.
They're handing out brochures to
pass
people.
over.
The problem is when they go off the lake, it starts all over again. I've seen the same people over and over again with the same violations. And if I can, I'll let them know, because I have a big enough mouth to do that. And I don't take offense by it. I think they deserve the extra money. I think we need some better hours and different days. And they all understand that. I just wanted to understand the increase and put my 2 cents in as well. Because I do like what you guys are doing.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Chris, could you just wipe that off, please? You can use the same wipe. That's nice.
The Holland Conservation Commission should make some policies about the lake, because it belongs to not only the people that live on the lake, it belongs to all of the residents of Holland. And the police department certainly should get that pay increase for lake patrol.
Could you wipe that down, please? All set. Anyone else? Being none, we'll vote on the police lake patrols. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Okay, that's Article 3. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to cover the FY 2020 snow and ice expense deficit or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? We need a sum of money on that. We have there's no.
Article 4 and 5, there is no money. You don't need to have any money for
Okay,
it.
then could I have a motion to pass over it?
Motion to pass over.
Second.
I have a second. Okay. There's a motion to pass over this since there is no deficit. Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to thank Brian Johnson and the Highway Department for a wonderful job they've done this year and for keeping it under budget.
Here, here.
We'll vote on this. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we're passed over. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to transfer some money from free cash to cover FY 2020 snow and ice wage deficit or take any action relative thereto.
Motion to pass over.
We have a motion to pass over. And we have a second. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Passed over. Okay. Article 6. 1 minute. To see if the town will vote to accept and appropriate funds provided to the town by the state under Chapter 90 and such other funds as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Transportation may provide, and to authorize the Select Board or their duly authorized representative to enter into contracts with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Highway Division for Chapter 90 money allocated to the town by the state or taking any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passed. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to establish fiscal year 2021 spending limits for the revolving funds listed in Chapter 4, Financial Affairs, Section 8, departmental revolving fund by the general, of the general bylaw, all as set forth below, with such expenditure limits to be applicable for each fiscal year until such time as town meeting votes prior to July 1st of any year to change the same for the ensuing fiscal year, provided, however, that at the request of the entity authorized to expend such funds, the select board, with the approval of the finance committee, may increase such limits for the fiscal year only as set forth below. Cemetery commission, $5,000. The library trustee, $600. Electrical inspector, $10,000. Plumbing inspector, $5,000. Zoning board of appeals, $2,000. Fire department, $10,000. Animal control officers, $5,000. Conservation commission, $2,000. Planning board, $500. Building commissioner, $24,000. Board of health, $15,000. Community center, $10,000. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Any questions? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Pass. Article 8. Now, Article 8 will require a 2/3 vote because it's a purchase of land. To see if the town will raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $8,750 to purchase 3.5-acre parcel of land being the remaining Sickle property on Blodgett Road. Said parcel shown as lot 23 on a plan of land in Holland, Mass, prepared by Sherman and Frederick LLC, on file with the town clerk for the municipal and/or conservation purposes, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Any discussion? John?
Is this the land perkable? Because I know that you perk
Can you
in
just get a
several
little,
places.
just get a little closer, John, please?
What?
Thank you. Just a little closer so I can hear on
Okay.
you're on TV right now.
Okay.
Yes, I know your question. Are you asking if that land perked?
Yes. Is
Well,
it going to
yeah,
be perkable land?
The history of this property is it abuts the conservation land that we're already buying, okay? The reason we didn't buy it last year is that the seller had a buyer for that specific parcel for residential purposes, and they had already gone in and done the perk test on that particular 3.5 acres. The important thing about this is I don't necessarily want to spend additional money for 3.5 acres, but it is strategically located relative to our open space. And the fact is that if we purchase this, it's going to be incorporated into a federal grant and a state grant. So at the end of the day, it's going to cost us very little in terms of buying the land. So just like the 176 acres that we purchased last year, it netted out after rebates from the federal and state government, it netted out to $850 an acre. And that's probably what this is going to net out to at the same time. So it's a good opportunity to buy a strategically located parcel, contiguous with open space that we're already in the process of buying. And so it's there, it perks, it's in a good spot, and it's going to help to expand the recreational area that we're already in the process of negotiating.
So who's going to run it? Is it Oakham going to run it like everyone else in town?
Yeah, we're going to own it, just as it's
Well,
just,
no.
it knows,
Yeah, but we
John,
own
the way
that
it's,
other land,
So is
but
this a
Oakham runs the
Transfer.
of course they
show.
They manage it, the town owns it. A lot of the properties that Opeka manages, they also own. This is one of the few properties, or the only property in Holland, the town of Holland is going to own, that's going to be available for recreation and open space.
It just seems that we keep buying land, and we're not getting any bang for the buck for it.
Bang for the buck when you pay $850 and it's still in the process of negotiating. This whole thing would have been closed if it wasn't for the COVID-19 virus and the fact that they shut down the state land court for 3 months. And we would have been in the process of putting in a parking area and the signs and trails. There's just been a delay. You're going to see a lot of bang for the buck over the next year. We can't do anything with the land until we buy it. I mean, you can't get a bang for the buck for something that you don't own.
Okay, so basically, the land, the only perkable land right now is at Circle H, right?
No, the whole property perked.
Because I've seen a whole bunch of,
Yeah, you know yourself because originally the engineer that went in to do the perk, they actually made a mistake in terms of, and I don't understand the details of perking, but at the end of the day, that property perks, so that's available for, the open space is obviously limited to open space use anyway, so it doesn't matter if it perks. But the 17 acres at front Stafford Road does perk, so we've got a lot of flexibility in terms of what we want to do with it. So it did perk.
You have to speak with the microphone, Bettina.
I'm just.
All right. John, could you write that down, please, for the next person? John.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sir, you're next, please.
Ernie Fancy, 1 Butterworth Road. Is this a buildable lot?
It could potentially be a buildable lot, but if we use it as a buildable lot, it's not covered under the federal grant.
So our intent is to incorporate it into the open space.
Yeah, unless we can be convinced that it makes more sense to convert it into a buildable lot. But it seems to me, and the thing is that we're deferring a lot of expenses over the next few articles. You'll see, and if we were to just use it as a buildable lot, then the economics don't necessarily. I mean, the timing of this is that I'm concerned that if we don't buy it and defer a decision until the special meeting in November, there may be a question that the funding is at risk. That's why I want to buy it now. Now, at the end of the day, we're paying $2,500 an acre, and it may make sense from an economic perspective as an investment to the town that we use it and convert it or have it classified as a buildable lot and try to put it on the market. But I mean, I'm keeping my options open, and we're going to have to make a decision between now and well, pretty quickly, because we need to make a decision in order to qualify for the federal grants to cover that. But I'm open to a discussion of using that as a buildable lot.
I would think that we have enough open space with 170 acres, and we ought to look into buying it and make it a saleable lot to recover some of this investment.
You have a valid point. I mean, I'm open to discussing that.
We'll see how it goes.
How are you doing? Kevin Palmer, 6 Old Acres Road. My question is...
If you can get a little closer to the microphone.
A little too tall for it. Is this property required to give access to the rest of the conservation property?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it helps. It's like when I say it's a strategic location, it has a potential of being a good area for parking and access direct, but it abuts the conservation land. So there's direct access to this property, and I've got a map that I had up there, and you can see the property that I'm talking about, but it abuts the open space, and if we want to use it for open space, there's a lot of opportunities, and there is absolutely access to the open space from that parcel.
So it sounds like a reasonable price, but in the long run, how much are we going to be losing in tax revenue if this could potentially have a house on it instead with a family living there?
Well, it depends what they build on the property, our tax rate is like $17 a thousand, so we're losing that depending on what the valuation of the property is, we may be losing that in revenue. But just remember that revenue has to be offset by expenses associated with the additional cost of having, the school costs, potentially building costs, all that stuff. So it's not just the tax rate times the fair market value of the property, it's the tax rate times the fair market value of the property minus the expenses associated with it. So at the end of the day, I think the net expense to the town in terms of lost revenues will be de minimis.
It is saleable after it is bought, right?
It is saleable after it's bought.
So if
But-
there's ever a big problem, that can be done. One more question. How often has land
Hey,
value?
John, one second. Could you just check to see if that thing is on? Hold on 1 second, please. Okay.
Okay, how often do you know if land prices fall?
Well, they don't, what do you mean, what? Sometimes
In other
they-
words, the general trend is that land prices increase, so it might even be a good investment, purely from a financial point of view.
Well, that was a point I think Ernie was making, and I don't disagree with him on that. I'm just keeping my options open.
Okay, very good. I'm agreeing with you. And just one more thing. I can hear you, but maybe because of my sitting position, the echo makes it hard for me to understand. So if everybody except me will speak slower. Thank you.
Marcia Beal, 110 Brimfield Road. I'm on the conservation and also open space. We looked, with this COVID, everyone in town began to appreciate all the trails. And we began to see the value of open space and the investment. And we need to look forward on this. It makes our town more valuable in the future. And that piece of property we're talking about, all of that is surrounded by conservation. If someone builds a house there, it could be one of those headaches where people who live in the house will be complaining because people are, close to their land or whatever. And we really need to think of it as an investment of closing up that whole area and having it as open space. We're never going to lose by it. And more people are coming to town with biking and using the canoe trail and that kind of thing. Because one of the problems you have is, I'm not on the lake, I don't have access to the northern part of the lake. And so we need to look at what are our valuable assets other than the lake, and one of them is open space. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. By the way, so on this one here, the funding source is going to be free cash. So it's going to read to see if the town will transfer from free cash the sum of $8,750, and it goes on from there. This is a 2/3 vote. Before we count, I just want to do a preliminary vote, a vote to see if we have a unanimous or not. All in favor, hold them up high. Any opposed? We have one opposed. All right. We need to have a counters. Could I have the counters over on both sides, please? Dave and Jen over here. All in favor, hold them up high.
Way high.
So, Vic, Jen, you're going to be counting from Alan, this lady here, over. And you're going to count also up front here from Larry over. just let's compare with what she has. How many? 10? How many do you have? How many far did you go? 15. So you're going to be counting. No, not that gentleman. You're going to be counting from this lady over here and Alan. And over here too. Yes, the whole thing. And behind you. 60. Yes. Did you count up top here too? How many in favor up here? Just from Larry over.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Deb, put your hand up. 14. John is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23.
Me. 23. 28. Okay, that's 51. All of opposed. 3. 5. 5. We have 51 for, 5 opposed, it passes. Article 9. I'm going to read what it should, because it's going to be coming from free cash, and it's for two different areas. Well, let me read it here first, and then there's going to be a motion. To see if the town will raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money or pay for prior fiscal year or invoices or take any action relative thereto. And the motion will be that a motion that the town transfers from free cash $2,583.79 for a prior fiscal year invoice from KP Law and $1,102.50 for 30 prior fiscal year invoices from Michael Back, each in the amount of $36.75. Do I have a motion on that? Do I have a second? I have a second. Okay. This will require forfeits vote. Do I have any questions? This is for old invoices. Being none, let me just check now before. All in favor? Are there any opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Article 10. To see if the town will, this is going to be, will transfer from free cash available funds of $10,000 for land auction expenses or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Passed. That was unanimous. That's passed. Article 11. Let me just check something. We have a lot of different things we have to have certain counts on. It's Article 11 to see if the town will raise, will transfer from free cash available, from free cash funds of $10,000 for MIIA town insurance deductibles or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Any questions? And all in favor? Any opposed? Pass. Okay.
Mr. Moderator, should we be amending these articles or changing it from?
No. The council says we don't have to on this. To see Article 12, to see if the town will vote to transfer $7,226.41 from free cash to install new security exterior door alarm system at the town hall and the police department lobby door, including all incidental and relative expenses, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? I have a motion to pass over. I have a second to pass over. Any questions? All in favor? Oh, wait a minute, I have a question. If you have a question, please come down. Name and address. Just
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Champney, 11 Sandy Beach Road. My question, at the meeting last year, Maybrook Road and Sandy Beach Road are in very disrepair. And we kind of put it off for the year. And they did a lot of surveying and studies over this year. And I'm just concerned if we do all these articles in this order and have the free cash put to all these other projects, where are we on drainage and repaving of those roads? Because cars are being damaged, and last year the fire chief had said that the road would collapse if there was a fire down there, so it's a safety hazard also. So I guess that it's just a question of,
well,
like, voting and all this, will there be
so right now,
left?
ma'am, right now we're just passing over, essentially we're just, by passing over, this article won't be voted. We're just going to vote to push it off to another day, so money's not going to be taken anywhere. So we're just talking about right now on the security system.
Right, I understand that. I guess my question is just the order. If we fund everything and then
We're
we
going
do that.
to be changing some order later on some other articles.
Okay.
Right now,
Is this on the, is this still on the, like, I don't see that particular thing. And last year it was kind of pushed off to this year. So I'm wondering if it's going to be funded.
if it's not on the article warrant, it's not on the warrant. And so when we get to that point, if you see it, that's fine, but right now we're out of order, so we have to move on this article. If you just wipe that down, please. Any other questions? Being none, all in favor? Yes. Here's a question. John?
Do we really need that?
John, you need to get up here and speak. You know the rules. John, did I tell you, let's have a quick meeting tonight, right? You can talk to me another day.
Do we really need to have a new system right now? It's a very limited.
We're deferring it. We're passing over on this thing. We're not going to vote on the money tonight. We're voting to pass it on, to pass over, to defer.
Oh, I thought you were gonna.
No.
Because it seems like a waste of money right now because it's very limited.
Yeah, John, we
of
understand. Right now, we're just passing over.
Oh, seems like a waste of money at this given time.
Understood, John. We're just passing over tonight. You'd wipe that down, please.
Oh.
Anyone else want to talk about passing over on this? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, there you go, John. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to transfer $3,730 $1,000.60 from free cash to rekey the town hall, including all incidental and relative expenses, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? We have a motion to pass over and a second. Any questions on the Passover? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to transfer $7,500 from free cash to create a new town hall and sign to be displayed at the town hall, including all incidental and relative expenses, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? We have a motion to set Passover and a second. Do I have any discussion on the Passover? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Pass. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to transfer $45,000 for the capital purchase stabilization from the capital purchase stabilization fund or from available funds to purchase and equip a police cruiser, including all costs incidental and relative thereto, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? We have a motion to pass over. Do I have a second? Any questions on the Passover? All in favor? Any opposed? Passed. Okay. Article 16. To see if the town will vote to adopt or readopt and accept the provisions of Section 20 of Chapter 32B of the Massachusetts General Laws as amended by Section 15 of Chapter 218 of the Acts of 2016, establishing and other post-employment benefits liability trust fund, to authorize the Board of Selectmen and Treasurer to execute a declaration of trust creating an expendable trust for the purpose of holding monies appropriated to such fund, to designate the Treasurer as the trustee of such trust, to authorize the transfer of any and all monies currently held for the purpose of paying retiree health and life benefits to such trust, and to authorize the trustee to invest and reinvest the money in such fund in accordance to the prudent investor rule established under Chapter 203C of the Massachusetts General Laws, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Do I have any questions?
Ernie Fancy, 1 Butterworth Road. Could anybody put this in idiot's language so I could understand it?
Larry, can you explain this?
Okay, well, this is a trust that we've established on behalf of paying benefits to retirees of the town, okay? It's just isolating the money, taking it out of the general funds of the town, and keeping it protected from the town's general creditors or anyone who wanted to use that money for other reasons. We've already established a trust. We established it in, I believe, 2016. It's been funded for the past 2 or 3 years, and all it's asking us, as far as I can see in terms of reading the language, is that we need to restate the existing trust document. All the logistics has already been put into place in terms of the ongoing maintenance of a trust that is for the benefit of retired employees. I mean, I'll admit, just like with every other town, it's underfunded, but I think what I understand is if the state sees that we're going through a good effort to try to at least isolate some money and plan for the future of retirees, then we look better in the eyes of the state in terms of our credit rating and probably other programs that we might qualify for. But it's basically a restatement of an existing trust, a document through an arrangement that has already been established. We've got an investment committee, we've got trustees, and we've got an investment manager as well. So it's already in place.
So the funds are coming from
the town. The town funds it just like a stabilization fund.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to transfer some money from free cash to the roadway stabilization fund or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? I have a motion to pass over. Do I have a second? Do I have any questions on the passover of Article 17? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Article 18.
I'd like to make a motion that we move this article after Article 23. I don't think we can make a decision in terms of transferring money from free cash to stabilization until we know that we've deferred all the other spending items. So, motion to move Article 18 to after Article 23.
So we have a motion to move Article 18 until after we discuss Article 23. Is that it?
After we discuss Articles 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, which are all spending items that we're recommending be deferred.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to move Article 18 out of order down to after Article 23. Do I have any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that will be we'll be moving that under. Okay, Article 19, to see if the town will vote to transfer some money from free cash to the Highway Department Road Improvement Account for road work or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? I have a motion to pass over. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any questions on the passover? Did anyone have a question? You can come down, sir.
Dennis Champion, 11 Sandy Beach Road. Is this where we come to the part where we ask about the road construction on Sandy Beach Road? I'm asking, what are we going to do about it?
If you could just wipe that microphone off, sir.
Certainly shall. Brian Johnson, 61 Stafford Road. To answer your question, so last year what we approved was to pay for the engineering and design. That part has been done, it's like 90% complete. So they're going to come back to us with the final plans. We're going to have a public hearing for all the abutters. We're going to go over the plans. And what we're hoping is that town meeting in the fall, we're going to make it an article to accept that road as a town road. What we're working on right now, though, currently, we have a grant writer. His first name is Jay, I forget his last name. Luke, but he's already applied for a $500,000 319 grant. He's currently going to be working on a MassWorks grant, which is $1 million. So our goal with that road is first, accept it as a town road, and then take the next steps. So, I mean, in all honesty, we're making progress, but it's going to be a couple of years, 1 or 2 years. That's just the truth of it. It's probably going to be a $2 or $3 million project. So, I mean, the reality of it is the town doesn't have the funds just to fund that whole project. But we're going to do it in steps. We're hoping to do it through grants as much as we can, use some town money, but that, that's just how it's going to work. But the truth of it is, it's going to be a 3 to 5 year project. That's why we made some repairs. We might make some more small temporary repairs this year. Well, if we go with the grants, it could be a 5-year project. I mean, Burnfield Road, I don't know if anybody travels on that road. We just got that road done. It's a $2.7 million job. The taxpayers, we put up about $250,000. It took 8 years to complete. So it's going to take some time. That's just the truth of it. But we are making progress and we are moving forward with it.
Brian, could you wipe that down, please? That's a nice job on that road. It's like a highway now. Double lanes and all, double lines and all.
question, Dennis, I have to say this, along with Brian and the Lake Oversight Committee and Jay, the new grant writer.
If you can just get closer to the microphone.
You can't? Okay. To answer Dennis's question and to compliment Brian and the Lake Oversight Committee, working with Jay Mooney, the new grant writer, the few grants that he has done has been really helpful, and we hope to write for more.
Chris, if you could just wipe that down, please. What are you, rookie? Anyone else? Being none, all in favor of passing this over? Any opposed? Passed over. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to the Highway Road Improvement account for tree removal or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? I have a motion to pass over. Do I have a second? Any questions on the passover? All in favor? Any opposed? Article 21. Excuse me? No, you asked it after 23 is what we voted. To see if the town will vote to transfer $29,950 from free cash to make a payment for the dredging study loan or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? A motion? And do I have a second?
Second.
That's not a Passover, correct? Okay. All right. Do I have any questions?
Kevin Palmer. If we do not pay this at this time, what is the expenses of this as far as additional interest?
You just picked that thing right up to talk to you.
You have a better idea. You know what the interest rate is.
Additional interest plus next year you'll have more to pay.
Any other questions?
You know, we're only talking about deferring this until the fall, probably October, so it's not as if we're going a year or two.
We're not deferring it. So the payment is due before the special town meeting, so we need to vote on it tonight to pay our loan that we committed to. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Article 20 through 22, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to the fire department equipment account for firefighter turnout gear or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? I have a motion to pass over. Do I have a second? Any questions? Yes, sir. Come down, please.
Jason Monroe, 1 Union Road. I just want everybody in the town to know that we are dealing with equipment that is, especially our turnout gear, it's over 10 years old, out of certification, not out of certification, but out of certification 10 years from that date. So I just want to remember everybody in this town, we're coming into your people's houses and helping you guys out. We do need turnout gear, so I just want to make that known. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, John, if you can go over that. 1 minute before you speak it to you.
What type of budget are you suggesting for these equipment? We're talking about approximately how much money? Because I agree with the gentleman. I think I've seen too much damage from fires.
Does anyone have that answer? 1 minute. Passing.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is going to be put back on the special town meeting in the fall.
Okay, I just wanted to just...
No, it's going to go back on in the fall. It's just
So-
like right now.
Hey,
we don't
excuse
know
me,
we're gonna be
could you address my question? What kind of, there's no dollar figure attached to this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I apologize.
But the idea is they'll pass over now, so we can just get in. The idea is it's gonna be coming back up at the special town meeting.
Okay.
They'll be voting on it then.
Technology has gotten the better of us because we're not on the internet here at the building.
Okay.
So, but
Could you pass Bettina, could you pass that microphone down?
The chief did provide us with an estimate. It was some number of thousands per set of turnout gear that each firefighter needs. And we don't know the total number, but it was kind of in the $50,000 range. Also of note is that the grant writer is working on developing a grant application for this turnout gear. So if that comes up, then that's bonus, because then, you know, the state will pay for part of it, and we won't have to pay for it all out of taxes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Being none, all in favor? Passing this over. Any opposed? Passed over. Okay, we're going to Article 23, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash, raise or appropriate or borrow $75,000 for the purchase and equipping of a skid steer vehicle, including all costs incidental relative thereto, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? We have a motion to pass over. A second? I have a second to pass over. Any questions on passing over this one? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes. We're going back to Article 18. Article 18, let me see what this is, a special one. Article 18 is to see if the town will vote to, well, I'm going to read it, this one here. To vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to the stabilization fund or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? To the general stabilization fund. And what is the amount of that? $77,395. So this is going to be from, let me read it here now. This is to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash, a sum of money of $77,395 from free cash to the general stabilization fund, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? I have a second. Okay, any questions of transferring this $77,395 to the general stabilization fund? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? passed. Okay. Article 24. Article 24 is a citizen's petition to create an official position for a town conservation agent and provide an annual salary not to exceed $20,000 a year for said position, or take any action relative thereto. The petition contact person is Caitlin Labs and Jessica Caffey, and there were the list of signatures were attached. Do I have a motion? Any motion? Do you have a motion, Paul? Okay, we have a motion. Any second? We have a second. Any questions? There's no fun. Didn't we already vote in that line item there for that? Am I missing something? This is a separate thing?
I have a question.
No, we did not.
Can anybody pass over a motion? Can anyone make a motion to pass over? Yeah. Okay, because I think this is something also that we should look at the September or fall meeting, see if we have the money for it. I totally support it. Being a person on conservation for many years, it's necessary, but if we can pass over and wait till September, I think that's...
Are you making a motion to pass over?
Yes.
We have a motion to pass over. Do I have a second? I have a second. Okay, we're discussing the Passover this March.
Marcia Beal again. The idea of this is to have a backup person, and it is an investment because we're getting more and more people coming in with lawyers, etc. And we do not have to spend the $20,000. We only need this as a backup. It says up to $20,000. So we're not making it a permanent position. We're making it a position of someone that will be available to us if we have a special case. There are instances like we had this past year where we had a contractor have an agent because we wanted to make sure it was done right. But this gives us a little extra, and it might save problems in the future. If you don't pass it now, I hope you consider it in the fall, because it is an investment, and most towns have an agent. Thank you.
Could you wipe that down, Marcia? I wish I had this back in the 90s when I was chairman.
Ann Hall, 50 Sturbridge Road. I've sat on the Conservation Commission. I've gone to a lot of different meetings about conservation, about the lake, and so on. What we have is the greatest resource in our community is at the bottom of the valley. And what we really need is for the Conservation Commission to advise the agent, the part-time agent, as to the way they want to move forward, but the agent would be familiar with all the legal repercussions of making any kind of decisions that impacts the Wetlands Protection Act. Now, these people have gone to special training. Okay, I've gone to some training. I am not this person at all, but it's 450 acres. It's a huge tax basis. It applies to about 50% of our entire community, and we really need a professional to go to ask questions, to know loopholes even. It's to everyone's benefit that there is one, and I do not think that it should be passed over right now. I I think that we should take a vote here tonight.
Could you write that down? Thank you.
Just as a question.
Yes, Marcia, if you can just speak into the microphone, please, when she's... 1 minute.
Since it already got second, can you do a Passover? I didn't know if you could really do that. I think it has to be voted on.
We have a motion on the Passover. We have an amendment to Passover. We're going to be voting on that first. You have to write that down, please, Marcia. Anyone else? We're gonna you want to speak, Chris?
Under the circumstances of the town's budget, I fully agree that this is something we need, but if we don't have the money and we can wait until September, it makes very reasonable sense to wait 2 months.
Wipe that down, please. I think you have a wipe in your hand. Anyone else? Being none, we're going to vote on the Passover of this article. All in favor of passing over on Article 24? Any opposed? It passes. Article 25, citizens petition to see if the town will vote to provide a stipend of $500 annually to each of the appointed members of the Lake Oversight Committee or take any other action relative thereto. Petition contact person is Christine McCoo. Do I have a motion?
Motion to pass over.
You have a motion to pass over. Second on the Passover. Any questions on the Passover? It's your petition.
I know. For the same reason that we passed over the other one. We don't have the money. LOC works really, really, really hard, and we deserve a stipend, but I think we should wait till the fall.
Could you?
Wipe it.
The other point I think is that we need to take a universal approach in terms of paying stipends, because there are a few committees in town that don't get paid anything, including the LOC, and I would like to develop a policy one way or the other to address the discrepancy in stipends between various committees. So I think it's also a long-term policy decision that we have a little bit more time to look at.
Do I have we're going to vote on this. All in favor of passing over on this article? Any opposed? Passes. There are no more articles to discuss. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Good night. Stay safe. God bless.